Welcome back. As the Truth Commission enters the last few crucial months of its work, the work of its investigative unit is coming under increasing pressure to show concrete results. This week, the Truth Commission led 5 families to Mpumalanga, where the remains of 5 former ANC activists lay in secret graves. On Thursday, 2 of these families were shown the secret graves of their loved ones for the first time.
The families of ANC activists Kenneth Mabuza and Steve Totetsi gathered here in the barren mountain graveyard near Kanyamazan outside Nelspruit. Both men had been brutally murdered by the notorious Kabasa gang that assisted police in fighting the UDF in this region during the 1980s.
Now, Mr. Fani Mulapo, who has been leading the investigation, is Captain Fani Mulapo. He is one of the leading investigators in the TRC. He is indicating that grave number 2265 is Totetsi's grave.
The bodies of Mabuza and Sotetsi were not exhumed. Their graves were simply identified and pointed out in the presence of their families. One of the reasons, the Truth Commission said, was that the bodies had been burnt beyond recognition before their secret burial.
Grave number 2267 is the grave of Comrade Kenneth Mabuza. This is the grave.
Body number 679.
The way in which bodies were disposed of in this country took various shapes and forms. The bodies of the Pepco 3 were burnt, whilst those who had killed him were having a braai. The bodies of Siphiwo Mtimkulu and Topsy Madag in the Eastern Cape were burnt, whilst those who had killed them were having a braai. I wouldn't like to think that it was different in the case of this person, or of the persons whose bones we do not even want to disinter because we know that they were burnt.
It is the first time in my life that I see a flat grave. And the person who buries another person and makes the grave flat is because he or she intends to make the grave secret. A person who buries another person without showing the beloved ones, the family relatives, where that grave is, means that that person wants to do so in secret. Now, as I was standing here trying to control my own shock, I'm wondering how many times have we unknowingly walked on flat graves in this country.
It's a big day today for my family because I've been missing my husband for many years and I don't know where to find him. I've been looking for him for 11 years. So from last year when they come here and tell me they've already found him, it was like a shock to me. And today, yeah, it's so much sad inside me, but it will come down. I'd say thanks to God to what happened to the TRC members to come and show me in the grave my husband.
We have been suffering all along, not knowing where Steve was, until now eventually we discovered that Steve has been killed by the Kabas. We felt that it wouldn't be proper that we should dig this grave again. It will cause more pain than now.
I know it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult. But the national situation demands that we continue to unearth the truth and look into ourselves, look into our past, and take a vow and say, never again shall we allow this type of things to happen to any one of us, black or white. Never again should we have policemen and women or soldiers in our forces who behave in a manner in which the nation suffers this type of casualties.
On Friday, the process of identifying graves continued. The Truth Commission's investigative unit moved on to Piet Retief, this time to actually exhume the remains of 3 MK soldiers. The men were all members of the elite MK Special Operations Unit that fell under the command of the late Joe Slovo.
The sabotage of the Sasol oil refinery in the 1980s was one of MK's success stories. The unit that carried out this attack was also responsible for the attacks on Voortrekker Hoogte Air Force Base in Pretoria and the Koeberg nuclear plant near Cape Town. A commander in this crack sabotage unit was this young man called Bani Molokwane. In 1985, he and 2 of his comrades were on their way back to their base in Swaziland when their luck ran out at a police roadblock.
Bani and his company arrived from Swaziland and then went for their sabotage at Sasol Secunda. Unfortunately, things didn't go well for them, and then they met their fate awaiting them in Piet Retief. They died there in Piet Retief.
I heard over the wireless that he had been gunned down in Piet Retief with 2 of his members.
This week, 12 years after their deaths at the hands of Piet Retief's security branch, the families of Bani Molokwane, Victor Kayane and Vincent Sekete came to the place where the 3 MK cadres had been buried by the police. The Truth Commission led the way to the secret, overgrown graves, marked not by name, but by number. It was going to be an emotional, dramatic day for the huge crowd that gathered on the Graveyard Hill in Tandakokanya Township. But it was also a day committed to the painstaking gathering of forensic evidence that would ensure the positive identification of the bodies that lay beneath the soil. Mpumalanga's premier and former MK commander Matthew Spoza started the digging with the families at his side.
The Truth Commission has got a mission to unearth the truth. Whether the truth be in the offices of government or in the graveyard, they have a responsibility to unearth that truth. And the families which are here today are very happy that they know the truth about what happened to their sons. And they're very happy to receive, painful as it may be, the bones, so they can give these young, heroic soldiers honorable funerals, so that the community can acknowledge what these guys have done. It's not hidden somewhere in a secret grave under false names, as we discovered here today.
As the sun rose higher and the graves deeper, the anticipation of the crowd was almost tangible. The strain on family members was starting to show. Finally, grave 1070 revealed its first clues. The bones were gently removed from the earth, every shard carefully collected. The single bones became whole heaps.
This is the whole head. Yeah, it's crushed.
One of the most dramatic moments of the day came when this pair of boots was lifted out of Barney Molokwane's grave. His family immediately recognized them, and for them the painful puzzle started falling into place.
The significance of the shoes that came from the grave, I think it allayed all the doubts that one would have, because for now, you know, these things that we see, people being exhumed, you don't know really, is this the truth? But now with a shred of evidence, like what I saw, I'm convinced I'm on the right track in retrieving my brother's bones. Those shoes, I personally bought them.
Slowly, the other graves of Victor Kayayane and Vincent Sekete also yielded their grim contents. Bit by bit, the bones were drawn up out of the ground. They were tagged and placed in makeshift coffins. The remains of the MK cadres were sealed, ready for a journey to the forensics laboratory in Pretoria, where their identities will be finally and formally established. But the last chapter in the life story of these three young men will only be closed when their grieving families take them home to a final resting place.
I feel pleased that this has happened, because I felt sorry before when he died and I didn't know where he had been buried. I feel much better.
It's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough in a sense that mentally, emotionally, things will be normalized now. Yeah, it's very great. Look, it worked inside us. People don't see it. I'm happy to see these bones here. I've picked up the bones myself. I lended a hand there, so we are taking this guy back home.
I'm so pleased. I even say, God, you did help me a lot about the TRC. If it wasn't the TRC, I wouldn't have gone so far. That's all what I can say. I'm so pleased because my son, he died for the nation. So I would like the nation to rebury him. As he says to me, Mommy, we have got 4 sons. 3 are yours, but I'm for the nation. Exactly today, I see that he was for the nation.
I am totally committed to exhuming every little piece of bone that we know is existing in any part of the length and breadth of this country. But our mandated period, certainly our period of operation as the TRC, may expire before we have done all the work that needs to be done. As I speak, I've been told that there are no less than 30 graves in the northern province, that possibly in this very cemetery, there are other graves which we have to identify. All of people were killed in the context of the political conflicts of the past.